Hello and welcome. Today we're gonna end the series of the BMP-1 scandal which led to the creation of the BMP-2. This is the last part and it's definitely very interesting. So let's get started. In the beginning the Soviets didn't intend to create a whole new IFV which would become the BMP-2. They actually just wanted to improve the BMP-1 after its disastrous testing results and outcries of the Soviet infantry, which proved the BMP-1 to be very badly armed with its 73mm gun and PKT machine gun, which weren't good enough or good at all to serve as an IFV. There were so many flaws in the BMP-1 that the design bureaus which were ordered to modify it basically had to create a whole new IFV. But there was not just one but many issues when it came to that and the modified BMP-1's production in general. And they all basically started by the rivalry of two design bureaus which had to modify the BMP-1, and later got worsened a lot because those two bureaus were tasked to work together. Those two bureaus were Chelyabinsk Tractor Plant and KMZ, standing for Kurgan Machine Construction Plant. It was like cooperating with your biggest enemy, which was destined to fail. Even though they were working together, the brutal competition did not stop. They continued to work against each other internally, which led to the modification process of the BMP-1 to be slowed down a lot and affected negatively. Long story short, it took about 10 years for the final new IFV to be developed and ready to be produced. To make it easier for me to talk about these bureaus, I'm gonna call the Chelyabinsk Tractor Plant just Tractor Plant and KMZ KMZ, so it's easier for me to say their names. The Tractor Plant made their first move by deciding to improve Grau's 73mm gun by making its barrel longer and therefore improving accuracy and range. They called this new cannon Zarnitsa, but there was one thing still left. As we talked about in the first video, the Soviet infantry needed a better infantry support weapon, and the 73mm gun wasn't qualified for that. So to silence their cries, the Tractor Plant just added a 12.7mm machine gun to the IFV. But this new weaponry wouldn't fit on the BMP-1's original turret, so they had to create a new one. Problem was, this turret would make the IFV too heavy for it to keep its amphibious capabilities. So as a quote-unquote solution, they just modified the hull. But that turned out to be another problem. One of the requirements for the BMP's modified version was for it to have the same hull as the BMP-1, which the Tractor Plant's BMP wouldn't have, because it would require a complete overhaul of the entire assembly line. KMZ came up with the new idea of using a 30mm automatic gun as the main armament, which was an idea the Tractor Plant did not agree with at all. Basically, the Tractor Plant became a puppet of Grau, which firmly stood behind the idea of using a 73mm gun. And so, the cooperation between the Tractor Plant and KMZ ended before it even really began. KMZ created its first prototype of their new 30mm automatic gun IFV. Next to the 30mm gun, it was also equipped with a 9K111 Faggot ATGM and the 9M113 Concourse ATGM, so that it could knock out enemy tanks as well as enemy infantry. Since KMZ and the Tractor Plant were now working as rivals with the Tractor Plant as Grau's little puppet, Grau tried very hard to interfere in the production of the 30mm cannon. They wanted to have nothing to do with it and instead tried to put stones in KMZ's way so the project would fail or take much longer. But KMZ needed someone to create a good 30mm cannon, and since Grau wasn't gonna help with that, they contacted the Soviet Air Force and requested them to create the cannon. The Air Force was not happy to help at all, but they did it anyway. In the end, they took the GSH-630 rotary aircraft cannon and transformed it into a single-barrel weapon. But Grau interfered yet again, stating the cannon must be fired mechanically and not electrically. It was stated that it must be possible to be fired even if there is one last man alive in the vehicle with nothing left but his bare hands. This quite senseless game continued for a bit when KMZ adjusted its gun to fit their requirements, while Grau came up with new requirements to slow down their competitors. KMZ also faced other problems with the cannon and the ammunition as well, which ate up more of their time and energy, but later got solved. As KMZ kept running into errors and fixing them, their version of the modified BMP-1 was over 1.3 tons too heavy, which made it lose its amphibious capability. This problem was solved by using better steel, which was lighter while providing the same protection, and by adding floaters filled with foam to the extended side mudguards of the vehicle. In October 1975, the Tractor Plant's Object 768 and the KMZ's Object 675 were to be trialed in front of the Minister of Defense at Kubinka. The officers of the Soviet Ministry of Defense found the Tractor Plant's version to be not good. They preferred KMZ's 30mm automatic gun and found out that the whole of the Tractor Plant's version would be too expensive and demanding. There was to be be another trial of the two rivals' prototypes, so they both got another chance. The tractor plant decided to adopt KMZ's 30mm gun to their tank hull, but even in the second trial, they got rejected because of the same reasons as last time. More testing showed that KMZ's 30mm cannon combined with its ATGM was better suited as an IFV because it could severely damage tanks and infantry just with its 30mm cannon. So the conclusion was that the tractor plants basically lost the game and KMZ won, and in the early 80s the Soviet army finally got their new BMP-2 IFV. After all this hard work and bitter competition, the BMP-2 finally made it and ended up serving the Soviet army for decades to come. Also, it got exported to many other nations as well, and it's still in use by a lot of armies today. But of course, the actual BMP-2 combat record is another topic, and that is a story for another time. That's the end of the Soviet Scandal series. If you enjoyed it, please give a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more of that. Thanks for watching.